to Real Raw Radio. Sponsored by Anajar and Levine, Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Are you ready? All right, everybody.
Pay attention.
It starts here.
Now that we're all prepared, let's start the show.
Now, Miggs and Swig. Life Out Loud on 102.5 The Bone.
Let's get the show on the road.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour. Whoa! Happy Hot Topic.
What's going on, Tampa? It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and I'm here in a very dark room doing Happy Hour for you. I'm taking over the Miggs and Swig show. Call the show, the phone lines. When I tell you they're wide open, oh yeah. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. You can tweet at me at Ryan Hoppe Radio, and you can always email me, ryanhopperadio@gmail.com. Now, as always, thank you to Don Miggs and Lisa DiBartolo for allowing me to do this segment. And shout out to the great Mike Olivero for essentially creating Happy Hour, being able to manifest time on the bone. And I have been here for 7 years. Lucky number 7. These 7 years, these 84 months, yeah, I can do math, has flown by. So I want to give a special shout out to all the talent at 102.5 The Bone, but especially the man, the myth, the legend known as Mike Calta. He has been very gracious, and he has been just an amazing person to work with because he's always kept it real. And I'm very honored, Mike. Thank you, sir. This segment, this show, Miggs and Swig, with Happy Hour taking over, is being brought to you by Meat Market in Tampa. Are you looking for a date night tonight? You have no idea what the hell you're doing tonight. Hey, there's no NBA games going on. I know I'm one of the 3 people, but you're going, what the hell am I supposed to do tonight? You want to take your bros out and look at some good scenery? Well, go to Meat Market. 1606 West Snow Avenue, and that's in Tampa, Florida. 1606 West Snow Avenue, and that's in Tampa, Florida. You can always call them at 813-280-1113. 813-280-1113. And for all the info, meatmarket.net. Oh, man. So growing up, I didn't have any siblings. So I was an only child. Unfortunately, my mom had a miscarriage in about 1998, so I could have had a brother, but I think it was better off that I was an only child. My narcissism and my vibe wouldn't really vibe with having a brother. I'm just a very only child. Ask my girlfriend. So growing up, I watched a lot of TV. Actually, I didn't have TV until 2006, but I would watch a lot of DVDs and a lot of VHSs. Like, I didn't know what 9/11 looked like until 2006 when YouTube came around. And then I was crying at the library, and my friends were like, "Why are you crying?" I'm like, "Because 9/11's awful." And they're like, "Well, you're 5 years late to the party." So my point is, growing up until 2006, I didn't have the antenna network TV setup. And let me tell you, when I did get it, I immediately became a fan of all the late night talk shows before they became political. And I think it's one of the reasons why I'm in entertainment. Obviously, for radio, you got Howard, Opie and Anthony, and all these shows I liked in Chicago, like Cow's Morning Madhouse. But for TV, I really think the late night talk shows influenced me. Used to love on Friday nights watching David Letterman, and I'd go to Jay Leno. And then when Jimmy Kimmel Live was edgy and funny, you had Craig Ferguson and Craig Kilborn and Conan O'Brien. I think you get the point. And that was an era that I think was overlooked. Some of the jokes could be cancelable, like when they were doing the ticking clock until the Olsen twins turned 18, which I think is one of the creepiest things that has ever happened in the time that we've had pop culture, probably in the last 120 years, was when we were literally waiting for the Olsen twins to turn 18. You'd tune on every shock jock show, every morning zoo, every TV show, and they'd be like, oh, well, you got 1 month left until they're legal. And you're like, Jesus Christ, son of God. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. And I do think that Craig Kilborn not only has one of the most underrated talk shows of all time, but one of the most underrated comedic acts and underrated just presence ever on TV. So then you have Letterman retire, and in comes Colbert, and he's good for about a year, and then Trump gets elected, and then he becomes the authority on politics, even though he's playing a character and is a nerdy Roman Catholic in real life. It's like I'm looking myself in the mirror, but I'm not Roman Catholic. I'm atheist. And then you had Jimmy Fallon replace Jay Leno, and that is okay. It's passable. And you have Jimmy Kimmel becoming a wuss. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all those names I just said, and I left out Seth Meyers on accident. Yeah, well, not really. Everyone kind of leaves them out of their mind. Who the hell has ever gone, hey, did you watch Seth Meyers last night? Nobody. But all of those names are passable. They're very political, and they're very woke and irritating, but they're passable TV. Now, what I'm about to say to you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're listening from the Mickey Ears near Orlando, where the bone can be heard, all the way to Fort Myers and Naples, that long 150 miles of clear radio, if you're listening to my voice right now, I want to hear from you. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. What was your favorite talk show growing up? I obviously like watching Johnny Carson on Pluto TV, but here's the greater point, because we all know that late night talk shows are kind of irrelevant in 2022 unless you're an ultra liberal that wants to hear all liberal jokes, kind of like my uncle. But let me tell you, and I'm not saying this because some haters will go, oh, Ryan, you're just jealous of his success. You're just jealous of his money. I'm not. We all have the same amount of time on this planet. We're all going to be laying in the dirt, and we're all alive. You know what I mean? I don't view success based off of like money anymore, based off of this. It's if you're breathing or not. And even if you die, you're dying because you're going to die, so you're not failing either. So none of that matters. So I will say with utter certainty, I never got James Corden, man. He will be leaving the Late Late Show. And obviously, I respect carpool karaoke. I get carpool karaoke. It's for people who go to Chick-fil-A for lunch. It's for people that think The Big Bang Theory is a funny radio or is a funny TV show. It's for people that think that all the prank calls on the radio are real, which they might not be. You're a very basic person if you thought James Corden was talented. Carpool karaoke was fine, because whenever you ask somebody, did you watch James Corden? They're like, oh, yeah, I watched it that one time he had Adele. I'm like, well, were you actually up at 12:30 watching it? And they're like, no, I was not. I never met anybody that actually watched it. Now, you look at the comments, and there's a lot of fans, but I think they just need to retire the Late Late Show as it is. Because Craig Ferguson did such marvelous, underrated TV, and then you had this annoying, sort of talented hack known as James Corden. Like, he was more made for, like, daytime TV. Like, he should have been on Up Against Ellen. He's not really late-night TV material, even though he did it for 9 years. He kind of just sat there and did his thing. And now he's leaving, and he's near tears. And I'd be crying, too, because I'm not saying James Corden's going to be irrelevant. He'll probably end up doing, I don't know, a Netflix show or a podcast or something of that matter. But he never will be as relevant as he was when he did the Late Late Show. And it's got to hurt somebody knowing that you're exiting and you're near tears. When I play these news clips on Hoppe Hour, when it fills in for the Mike-O radio show or the Mike Helta after show or Migs and Swig, I don't listen to the clips prior, because the best radio is when you do it with the listeners. I just said do it. The best radio is when you hear the material or you hear the conversation for the first time. When radio is rehearsed with fake actors and when radio is doing the same segments from the 90s and not being genuine, the listeners can feed through it. That's why the Bone thrives, is we all are genuine here. Let me tell you, I have not heard this clip yet, so I don't know exactly why James Corden left, but I'm thinking maybe they weren't going to renew his contract. And it's kind of like when some radio shows retire on their own, and it's not like they're getting kicked out and they claim, oh, I want to leave radio forever. But the company just doesn't think they're worth the money, and they don't think it's worth re-signing them to a new contract. That's what I think happened here with James Corden. But I might be wrong. We're going to find out right now. This is from Entertainment Tonight, as this man was near tears addressing his Late Late Show.
I've decided to sign for one more year on the show, and that this will be my last year hosting the Late Late Show. Don't you dare. And there'll be tears. There'll be so many tears.
There'll be tears from you. I don't know about anybody else. I'm sure he has fans. I'm not denying he doesn't have fans, but he never quite caught on. It goes like this. If you make it on TV for an episode of anything, think about all those failed sitcoms that were on Fox over the years. They made it on TV. They did it. So there's no denying that James Corden made it in TV, but he didn't really make it. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for Carpool Karaoke, he would have been Craig Kilborn.
Because this has been the hardest decision I've ever had to make. It really has.
James
Yeah, I'm about to not be famous anymore.
Corden near tears, telling his audience that he'll soon exit the Late Late Show.
I've never taken this job for granted, ever. Not once. And the fact that you watch us at home or you watch us online, wherever you are, all over the world, the fact that we get to try and entertain you and spend time with you is an absolute privilege for me and every single person who makes this show.
I think the one thing is he doesn't really command the room. As irritating as the two Jimmys are and Colbert is, they would go, I'm glad I was able to entertain you. But an uncertain person who listens to the haters, who lets it bother them, and goes, I hope you enjoyed it, because they're not sure if it was good. I could see James Corden looking himself in the dressing room afterwards being like, was that a good show? I didn't get to sing with Adele, so I don't know if I was funny or not.
The late night host addresses his exit in his monologue on Thursday. He also explains the reason for his decision.
When I started this journey, it was always going to be just that. It was going to be a journey, an adventure. I never saw it as my final destination.
Yeah, he didn't think he was going to be on more than like a year. It's like, I don't think I'm that funny, but they're trying to go with something less edgy than Craig Ferguson. And then like 9 years later, he's like, oh my God.
And I never want this show to overstay its welcome in any way. I always want to love making it. And
it kind of overwhelmed its time, but that's fine. Let me look at his net worth. Everybody out there, I bet everybody listening combined doesn't have his net worth. His net worth, $50 million. So yeah, you can have a show that didn't quite catch on as much as people thought, but $50 million, without a doubt. At the end of the day, you can make $50 million, and that's all that matters. I can sit here and talk and run my mouth. People behind the keyboard can run their mouth.
Here comes the money.
But that man made his money.
Money talk.
Here comes the money.
God bless him. And I don't believe in God, but man, if you're not that talented, he was just serviceable. He wasn't great. I don't know.
I think in a year from now, that'll be a good time to move on and see what else might be out there, okay? I didn't think that the show was ever going to work. So It is quite surprising when you start to look back and think about all of the things that we've done on the show.
Corden first signed a contract to host The Late Late Show in 2014 and made his debut in March 2015.
Hello, everyone. I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, look, Andy Richter's got his own show.
You wish you were as funny as Andy Richter. How dare you compare yourself to that underrated man? 727-579-1025. Okay. So this guy I'm about to put on air goes by a different name every time. But I know him from his time on the Home Improvement Life Show out at So 2020 with Jim Johnson and Mike Olivero. And on that show, he went by the name of Carl. And he really made Mike O mad that day, saying Mike O could not do push-ups. So then I was told to memorize his number so that we would know when he calls in. So everything's good now. We all love, quote unquote, Carl, but I have his number memorized, 941-650, because I had to. Hello, whatever you're going to go by today. How may I help you?
Hey, he's like a stalker or something, dude.
No, you were threatening Olivero, saying he's not going to be able to do push-ups, and you know how much of a competitor and beast Olivero is. Also, your number's not hard to forget. It's not like it's... Anyway, I'm introducing you. I'm giving you airtime, my friend.
It's all good. I was calling about the James Corden thing. I mean, I'll say this side note. I love Hoppe Hour, and I think you should, what's the word I should use? Get Mr. Miggs and Miss Donna DeBartolo Miggs, or however it's properly said, to sponsor this show even at night and take it to the next level. Same idea, just expand it. While I was calling James Corden, everything you said I agree with, but imagine this. Here's something for you and like John Fenning, talent with no contract. I bet CBS or NBC owns the rights to that carpool karaoke, so when he leaves, he can't even do that.
Dude, that is one of the worst things that can ever happen to you. There was a certain shock jock that I worked with in Cleveland, and he got his big break when he first began in like 2003 through 08, and that was when he was at his best. Grover's Morning Glory, that douchebag. And his best work, he could not get because CBS Radio was like, you failed in all these cities. Why would we give you your show? That's why I always keep track of my show. You know what I mean? That's one of the things you got it. And I never would have thought of that point. So thank you, Carl.
Yeah, but understand it's owning the rights to something to protect yourself, which means like if you get a contract, they say, hey, we want to sign the Hoppe Hour for 2 years. In that contract, it needs to say what is being said and what you own and what you don't own. And if you don't call it, they will call it and they will take it and they will own it. So you have to plan ahead, Hoppe. Remember that, my friend.
I will. Thank you. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. I do often think about what the moment's going to be like when I manifest getting full-time and having that fat contract in front of me. I'm going to have to read the lines. My girlfriend's mom and my girlfriend are very smart. So I feel like I'm going to have them look over it. I don't know. I'll get there.
You're listening to Miggs and Swig on 102.5 The Bone. Now, back to Miggs and Swig on 102.5 The Bone.
Happy Hour. Happy Hour. Whoa! Happy Hot Topic!
I'm getting old. So I just played that air horn sound effect and I did like a flick with my finger to try to pump myself up. And I sincerely just hurt my back a little bit. Man, being 28, it's a weird feeling where like you can see the age of 30 right in front of you and you try to appreciate being 28 and then you hurt your back just doing a flick and it makes you think about your own mortality. On that exciting note, this segment is Hoppe Hour, filling in for Miggs and Swig. But let's get the up-tempo vibes going. 727-579-1025. 1025 and 1-800-771-1025. You can tweet at me at Ryan Hoppe Radio, and you can always email me, ryanhopperadio@gmail.com. I got a few nice messages this week. It was very sincere, and it really warms my heart if I get hate or love because you're talking about me. But I'm not going to read it on air. I think it is absolutely, positively nauseating, sociopathic, and even a little psychopathic when radio shows begin their day with emails. But the emails are never critiquing how their show's going. They only read the emails that are positive. It's one of the most nauseating things ever, and I've seen that. So I don't read the messages. I get a lot, but I'm like, I'm good. Because that means you're flexing your small D energy. You don't believe in yourself. You have to let everybody know how great you are. Everybody at the Bone, we know we're great. Tampa listens. We don't have to let you know. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. If you want to have a good night tonight, you're in a relationship, you want to have a date night, looking to take your buddies or your babes out into town, maybe girlfriend is the more politically correct word. Take your girlfriends out into town or whatnot. Or you just want to see the scenery of good-looking people of all genders, whatever you identify as. Because when you go to Meat Market in Tampa, you got to bring your sexy on, man. It's at 1606 West Snow Avenue. It's 1606 West Snow Avenue, and that's in Tampa. 813-280-1113. That's 813-280-1113. And for all the info, meatmarket.net. All right. We have so much to get into, but it's funny. It's an end of an era for anybody who's working at the Bone, but I think it's only fitting that I'm a part of this end of an era. No. The Bone's not going anywhere. The end of the era is this board that I'm talking into and pressing the buttons, as people say, button pusher. Yeah, I push your buttons. Haters. This board that I have in front of me will be going away during the Johnny B replays, and everybody at 1025 The Bone will have a new board this Monday. It's not going to sound any different to you. You guys are going to get the best talk radio that you can get anywhere. But let me tell you, for me, I've been sitting behind this board since I was doing overnight replays in 2015. And I want to pour one out for the homie known as the Harris board. Nutwave. You've been good to us. You've had moments of radio gold and moments where people told me I would never make it. And for that, we pour one out. 727-579-1025 and 1-800-771-1025. It was really awesome. So, by the way, a lot of the behind-the-scenes people don't get enough love at times. You got Mike Olivero kicking ass in promotions. You got Corey Cardinal, who is the Swiss Army knife of this company. He's awesome. But also, shout out to the engineers. Shout out to Mike Cernak, Dylan Scott, and Jeff. Because they'll be in here fixing the board on the weekend, replacing the board, coming in on the weekend to work. And it was funny. I believe it was Dylan's dog. He brought his dog to work, and it was really awesome seeing it. And I had like a 2-minute commercial break. I had 2 minutes before we were coming back from break. We've never had a 2-minute commercial break on the Bone, let's be honest here. And I was running down the hall because I had to go to the bathroom real quick because I chug an energy drink before I do this routine. And his dog was chasing after me. And I think that was the first time that I got a dog to like me. Because whenever I'm around dogs, they don't like me, bro. And sometimes I don't like myself and I need to work on my confidence. So maybe I'm projecting. But whenever I've canvassed for like this politician that ran for some government. I canvassed for a senator 4 years ago, and I kind of lean Democratic because I believe in like women's rights or whatever, but I like the money aspect of Republicans and I don't vote. And I was paid $25 an hour. I'm not flexing about money, to go door to door to drop off flyers for this politician. And every house I would go to, the GPS tracker on the app could tell if you walked up to the door. So you had to walk up to the door. So all the dogs would be barking all the time. And it was so funny because it was like, they're like, what do you want? Because like, you're never happy when someone's at your door canvassing. You're never like, oh my God, I want to have a conversation with this solar expert or this religious. I don't want to trash religion and say that certain religions, but the religions that canvass or the politicians. You're never like, oh my God, come on in. I have some food for you. I have this and that. You always shut the door. So I had to go to each door, and dogs were always barking at me and didn't really seem to like me. So I just had a first time ever. This is a big day for me, getting to host in a top 20 market. I'm the last one to do a live show on this board, and Mike O will be in next over the last two shows. And dogs finally like me, man. So I feel like I've made it a long ways in these 7 years that I've been in Tampa radio. I've also come a long way with my mental health. I don't react to negativity. And if I do, it's like a huge explosion. And then I'm like, Jesus, why am I getting mad about negativity? But let me tell you, when you work on your mental health, you have to be real with yourself and you have to be silent. When you're letting everybody know, oh, I'm working on my mental health, you're not working on your mental health. You're letting everybody else think you're working on your mental health so they're nicer to you because you're letting everybody else know you're mentally ill. And that would go with one, Kanye West.
I do try to ignore it and just try to do whatever's best for the kids.
That's what I love about you because
Take the high road.
it's,
Following a whirlwind of public feuding on social media between Kanye West and Kim Kardashian, a source tells ET the 44-year-old rapper has been laying low and is focusing on healing.
If there was an ultimate definition of being bipolar, it would be me. No, but also the ultimate definition of bipolar would have to be Kanye West. For like 3 months, actually for like 3 years, he was going crazy. He was saying, oh yeah, we almost aborted our daughter when he was running for president. And he had his mental breakdown when she divorced him. And I'm gonna bury Pete in the ground with this creepy clay animation and da-da-da. And then he goes away. And it's like, bro, you should have gone away 2 years ago. It's weird because he has that song on his album, Donda, where he's like, we off the grid. It's for the kids. Everything I do is for them. And it's like, in what universe, bro? That's like one of my favorite songs ever. It was top 20 on my Spotify last year. I can't play it on the radio. But I'm like, in what world is Kanye West ever off the grid? That would be like if I were to make a rap song, which I did a few videos for the morning announcements 12, 13 years ago in high school, and I called myself DJ HOPPE, wondering why I'm not getting laid. But also, the reason that I did that was to fit in, and it didn't work at all. And it would be like if I were to bring back the DJ HOPPE moniker and be like, I'm coordinated, nated. I'm coordinated, nated. It's like, no, you're lying to yourself. I'm not coordinated, and Kanye West is not off the grid.
I'm just extremely happy. Can you tell by my face?
The 41-year-old Skims founder filed for divorce from the Grammy winner back in February 2021. And while the two seem to be on good terms for a while, co-parenting the 4 children they share, by 2022, things took a turn, with Ye hurling a series of accusations at Kim on Instagram.
That's always good. You know what I love? I do think a lot of times the mothers hold back the kids from the father to use them as pawn. But I think a lot of times when you go on social media, because I'll see some listeners do this or my girlfriend has friends from her high school, and they go on social media and they post about their, like, I don't want to say baby mama drama because it goes with both genders, their baby drama or their relationship drama. And they're like, why the hell does that person now want to sleep with me anymore or even be in the same room? It's like, because you're going on social media talking about it. You're not off the grid.
You just gotta roll with it.
And trashing her new boyfriend, Pete Davidson, both online and in song.
God sent me from.
I got to skip over this so I don't, there's any swears. I don't think there'd be Entertainment Tonight swears, but when you're on FM radio, you're careful, man.
Source says Kanye is trying to disconnect from all the drama that happened between them. Quote, he is focused on taking care of himself, getting healthier, and removing himself from all the craziness.
So what does that mean? Removing yourself from all the craziness? Does that mean you're becoming a deadbeat where you're like, I don't want to be around any of this? Because it sounds like all the craziness was between you and your family. So by removing the craziness, should we replace the word craziness with family and removing himself from all the family? Because there was nothing else really crazy. It was all about his family. So is he just going, whatever? God, deadbeat dads are the worst. And I'm not saying he's for sure a deadbeat dad, but, I mean.
The source explains that the musician cares deeply about his family and kids.
Oh, he does?
And adds that they are his number one priority. So,
yeah, number one priority. Nothing says, I love you, honey. Nothing says, you mean the world to me. You are awesome. I care about you. Like running for president and talking about how you almost got an abortion. I mean, that's a noble man there. Not at all. That's a man of integrity. Not at all. For a second there, I actually thought Kanye West was going to be president. But you can't go out there. Like, that's something you never get over. Imagine having that. You have a mom who literally got banged by Ray J. Which that's embarrassing. It's not even the sex tape part. And then you have Kanye West with all his skeletons in the closet. My goodness.
he's working on himself.
I just traveled to get something for Kim.
You went all the way to LA to get something for Kim?
Mm-hmm.
You were something else.
Meanwhile, Ye made his debut on the Famous Family's new Hulu series this week with...
Man, Kris Kardashian, she doesn't insult people, but she says things in a condescending way. It's worse than an insult. Hear this disgust she has for him.
Yeah.
You went all the way to LA to get something for Kim?
Mm-hmm.
You were something else.
Meanwhile, Ye made his debut on the Famous Family's new Hulu series this week with a grand gesture for Kim.
He got me all of the sex tape back.
Like I said, I never, ever watch these clips before I go on air because I want to have a genuine reaction, because then I would have known a minute 35 in that this would be said.
He got me all of the sex tape back.
I mean, for the normal person, they would be embarrassed to have a sex tape out there because it's them having sex on camera. But I think Kim's more embarrassed that sex tape was awful. I mean, it gets the job done, but it ain't anything special. If it was just her and she wasn't famous, you'd be like, oh, this POV is awful.
Oh my God.
And he flew home and got the computer. It was on the hard drive.
So they're having a classy party, and there's like 12 women in a room, and there's like snacks everywhere. Like, can you imagine you have a reunion with your friends? Man, I said that funny with my Chicago accent. And you're like, what have you been up to? And you're like, oh, I got my sex tape, brought back. Like, that is just a world that we cannot relate to.
And met up with Ray J at the airport and got it all back for me.
Oh, Kim.
Sweet, right?
Too bad they sold it to Vivid Entertainment, so I don't really feel bad. I don't have enough time, but Alec Baldwin, there's new footage that shows the aftermath of the tragedy. I think Alec Baldwin is an elitist creep. And if anybody else did what he did, they would not get away with it. But, he was in 30 Rock and Beetlejuice. Let's let him get away with it. Elite people are the worst. I don't have time to talk about it because the Mike O show is up next. But if you guys liked what you heard, which of course you did, go to every single major platform that has a podcast. That would be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spreaker, Amazon Music, Mixcloud, Odyssey, any of them, and search up Hoppe Radio, HOPPE Radio. You can tweet at me at any time, at Ryan Hoppe Radio. Unfortunately, if you're a jackass, I'll block you, but I appreciate you reaching out. 856-49-HOPPE is my voicemail if you want to call me during my podcast during the week. And you can always email me if you're traditional, ryanhopperadio@gmail.com. But most importantly, up next is the Mike O radio show with Corey Cardinal, Mike O, and Denise. And then it all returns this Monday, 8 a.m., 10 a.m., noon, 2 and 5, your chance to win money. We got free gas coming up soon. 102.5 The Bone is the man of the people.
You're listening to Migs and Swig on 102.5 The Bone.